You are a Raiders fan. How much longer does Dennis Allen have a job?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. And I'm generally not the guy that says, that's calling for head coach's jobs. I generally, I'll defend the players when people are like, oh, get rid of them. It's like, hey, look, that's somebody's job. That's their livelihood. But when I look at their schedule, last week after they lost, I said, okay, well, next week is 0-3. The week after that, they play Miami. That's 0-4. The week after that, at the end of the day, I think they got a week 5 bye. I think that will, especially if they go into that, winless, which they probably will. I think it's pretty clear. Excuse me. I think that's probably the time when if they're going to make a move during this season, that you'll see it made. Otherwise, there's no sense. Just let them ride the string out for the rest of the season. But like I said, if they make a move, it's probably going to be during that bye.
I don't like, there's certain times when, it's like, okay, it's probably time to make a change for a coach. When do you think the best time is to make a change with a coach? Like in the NBA, you probably got to make it early if you want to have a chance at, I don't know, salvaging any part of the season. Because there's never a mid-season move that ends up working well in the NBA. Really, is there, other than the Lawrence Frank situation when he was in New Jersey, as a change mid-season really worked out well for a team. But then, you just look in the NFL, like, do you just wait till it bottoms out to fire a coach? Because if you bring in another coach, then, like, if it hasn't bottomed out yet, then you continue plummeting, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, great decision bringing in a new coach at that time.
I think you have to play about situation. Like, for instance, in a situation like this year, if the Raiders don't have anybody in mind that should be the quote-unquote next guy, then maybe they go and they just play it out, because at the end of the day, they're not going to have a positive season regardless. I hope they don't. I hope they don't take that tactic. I hope they have somebody in mind. I hope they have another direction in mind. But obviously time will tell. But like, say for instance, with these same Raiders just a few years back, when it came to the Lane Kiffin situation. Now, obviously they were coming off of a pretty bad season, and when they went into that, when they went into what was his final 4 or 5 game stretch, I think it was clear that things weren't going to work out. But when it came down to that, his final game coach, the year where he coached, I'm pretty sure you remember, if you don't already remember, you'll remember when I remind you. Where he's got Sebastian Janikowski attempting 76-yard field goals and stuff like that. Then that's one of those situations where it's easy to make the decision. So, yeah, Lane, get the hell out of here. Much like just a couple years later, where Shelley Smith met him on the tarmac, actually, where Pat Hayden met him on the tarmac. It's time to go.
Yeah. Well, when we're, with the NFL, surprisingly, this might be the first show that hasn't talked about the Roger Goodell, the controversy all week over, Adrian Peterson, Ray Rice, all that nonsense. When do you think people are going to stop watching the NFL? The NFL because of the, these scandals, or I think it's going to take the quality of the product to go down before it takes, scandals off the field for people to stop watching. People aren't going to stop watching because of these scandals. I don't buy that. I think it's going to take people, will stop watching if the quality of product goes down because of new rules, like these hand checking rules like that, where, there's a flag every third play. That's going to turn the game unwatchable, and then that's going to make people watch less than people not watching because of scandals out the field. Do you agree with that?
Well, people won't like this answer, and I hope they allow me to qualify it. While it's obviously a very significant issue, it's something that I make no bones about. I think any type of domestic violence is absolutely reprehensible, whether it's male against female, female against male. Regardless of what your situation is, I think it's absolutely unacceptable. So I want to make that clear. And say the same thing with child abuse, anything. I've kind of have a zero tolerance policy with that. So yeah, I personally am offended by it. That said, the NFL, people are going to continue to watch the NFL regardless of what takes place. Honestly, unless it's just season after season after season of absolutely heinous things taking place. Simply because it's a money league. People are betting money on it, and as long as there's economics involved in it, it's always going to be popular. Regardless of whether it takes hits, socially, or you have people speaking out against it. At the end of the day, people are still people like we just talked about fantasy football, and people people betting money on fantasy football, as well as in the sports books, as well as just head to head, with the guys in the office. As long as that's taking place, people will continue to watch the NFL.
Well, and maybe I don't remember it as well because I was 10 or 11. But Ray Lewis, he allegedly killed a guy, whatever, and then he comes back. There wasn't as much of an uproar over that. And, like Pac-Man Jones, all the Pac-Man Jones, Chris Henry stuff, there was all those, there's been incidents all over time. And, all of a sudden, like those incidents were, those incidents were handled okay. And then all of a sudden, now there's a problem. I just... I don't know if it's the media or what it is where everybody's getting all up in arms. I get that, these... I don't like crimes against women or children either, but where was this uproar 10 years ago? Where was this uproar? Where's this uproar been? Has it just been building over time?
No, the thing of it is obviously, we can point directly to there's more access to to rich and famous, entertainers, athletes, people, people that resonate socially, whether it's, through social media or the constant cameras, the TMZs, people, just random folks with their, with their camera phones. So obviously, people are getting caught up a lot more than before. People were doing a lot of these things, all along. But it's just that we know about it more now. There's more, there's more emphasis, placed upon it. Also, but I will say, you were a bit younger. I was an adult at the time when the Ray Lewis came. There was a ton of uproar and a ton of backlash. Believe me. It wasn't covered to the same extent because we didn't consume sports and consume even outside the lines of sports like we do now at that time. But there was definitely some backlash. There was the same thing with the Ray Cruz situation. It was a national global story at some point. Definitely a national story. And some of the other, really heinous things. But the truth of the matter is, you're kind of right along the lines that people will continue, like I said, people will continue to watch the sport. They'll continue to support the NFL. They'll continue to do it. Even if they're offended, along the way, the next fourth and out, and their team comes back on the field. Third, 4 downs and out, their team comes back on the field. They find a way to have selective amnesia.
Really, we got 1 minute till break. But you think? Do you think Ray Rice or Adrian Peterson play another down in the NFL?
Probably.
Actually, who do you think's more likely to play another down in the NFL, Ray Rice or Adrian Peterson?
Man, that's a tough one. Adrian Peterson, maybe, only because of the status, and honestly, and again, I don't want listeners out there to think that I'm advocating for these players or speaking out against them. I'm simply, what I think will happen, is realistic. I think they'll both play. Maybe Adrian is slightly more likely.
I kind of think Adrian Peterson will too, because Ray Rice is this is again. We're not saying that we're not advocating that they should come back right away, but it's not like Adrian Peterson's production had gone down at all. Ray Rice's production has gone down significantly in the last year or so. So that's the difference. Is going to be, if Adrian Peterson goes to prison and whatnot, somebody will sign him whenever, whenever the dust settles. Somebody will sign him. Whoever. It's going to be Adrian Peterson because his production will still be there, in my opinion, or the hope for it will be. So, well, we are going to go ahead and take a break. We will come back here in about 7 minutes, talk some NBA. This is LateNightSportsRadio.com's Bob Sullivan Show.